Are you a mind reader? Well, neither am I. That's why we have to tell people what we need. Hi, I'm Gina. Here at Hope and Cope, we talk about essential skills needed to have our best life in spite of painful and sometimes even tragic events that occur. Not only do we have a hard time telling people what we need, we oftentimes actually deceive them and point them in a different direction. So people say, "How are you doing?" And we say, "Oh, I'm fine." Or they say, "How can I help?" And we say, "I don't need anything." And if those things aren't true, then we can't expect people to read our minds and know what we need when we've just told them, all is well, I'm fine, and I don't need anything, and I can't possibly think of anything you could do to help me. In this video, we're gonna discover why we do what we do and how we can prevent doing what we are doing and yet not get hurt by it. So why do sometimes we mislead people and we tell them we don't need something when we do need something? Well, possibly we don't know what we need ourselves. That's true. Possibly we don't want to owe someone something. We don't want to feel beholden. We don't want to ask. We don't want to need something. It makes us feel vulnerable. Sometimes telling people what we need can make us feel weak and needy and vulnerable, and then if that need doesn't get met, then it's an extra sorrow to us. So we would just rather not even tell somebody that we have a need than express the need and then be disappointed. When we're going through a real struggle, it seems to us that our needs are obvious and they shouldn't need to ask, and I shouldn't need to ask them to do me a favor. They just need to know it and be willing to do it. Well, that might sound reasonable from your perspective, but it's just honestly not true. For one, so many people need different things. Maybe they're in the same situation, but what they need internally is just so different. And so many times people don't want to add sorrow, so they don't want to overstep, and they don't want to be pushed away. They don't want to seem intrusive, and so they don't know what to do in spite of the fact that they may know that you're hurting, but they just don't know what the need is if we don't lay that out for them clearly. If you're like me, you maybe have at some point in your life shared with someone a need that you have, and then unfortunately that need didn't get met, or didn't get met in the way that we expected it to. And so then we have disappointment, and we feel even more misunderstood and disappointed. So I'm going to make just a couple suggestions of how to express your needs to people without being disappointed. So the first thing is, you can tell people what you need, be as clear as you can, tell them what you need, but without any expectations. So what I'm trying to say is, you can tell somebody what you need and tell them there's no pressure. Like, for instance, summer's coming and you need someone to mow your grass, and you can say, "I need someone to mow my grass. If you know anyone, or if you would like to take a turn to help me, I would appreciate it." But there's no pressure. I'm not expecting you to meet it. I'm just letting you know what I need. So especially if people do ask you what you need, I already know in advance some of the things that would be reasonable for someone to assist with. For instance, you could say, "I could really use some help getting my kids picked up from school," or "I could really use someone to pick up my groceries for me." But there's no demanding, there's no insisting, there's just suggesting. And then if that is something that person can reasonably do, then hopefully they will do it. They may not do it perfectly, but that's just something else. Sometimes we just don't want to relinquish the power. We don't want somebody to pick up the wrong ketchup or the wrong bread or forget to get the eggs. So we just rather do it ourselves. But if someone is trying to help you, then just allow them to help you. So I've had people want to offer me cash or a gift card to a fast food restaurant, and it's hard to take it. It is hard to receive. But if people are trying to help you, then just be gracious and let them do something to help you. You might not even think it would be helpful at the time, but it very well might come in handy. I know that there are people that we expect to help. They have a stake in the matter. We feel like we know that they owe us something. It's not your neighbor. It's not your church friend. It is someone that you feel like has an obligation to you. But the truth is, we can't force people. When my husband was falling short on his responsibilities, I could not force him to do the things that were his obligation and that he owed to me. So I had to learn how to either receive help from others or figure out how to achieve things on my own. Sometimes we get really sad feelings like no one cares, no one sees what I'm going through. They do see what I'm going through and they don't want to help me. They don't love me. And I just want to encourage you to know that feelings aren't facts. We've talked about this before. It's a hard sell. I know we can really get married to those feelings and think we know someone's inner thoughts and know someone's motivation. And it's just not true. We can have those forlorn, I'm isolated, I'm alone, no one loves me feelings, and that doesn't mean it's true. We maybe need to have some hard conversations with ourselves and then have some kind and gentle conversations with our loved ones if we have needs, whether they have extended an invitation to ask for help or not. If we have people that we can count on that love us, we need to just have those tender conversations and just say kind of, here's what I'm going through and this is what would really help me. Is there anything you could do? And there's just no pressure and this isn't a demand. I just know you love me and I think you would help me if you could. So let's start trying to not expect people to read our minds and to tell them when they can help and to let them help us when they can. I hope this content was helpful. Everything I put out is to try to bring value to the listener. That's why I always put a Bible verse and a Christian song in the description box. And I'm always praying for the people that watch these videos. I hope that's an encouragement to you. Please, if this was helpful, hit the thumbs up button for me. And if you think this would be helpful to somebody else, if you would share it, I would really appreciate it. I put out new content on Sundays and Bible studies on Wednesdays. And so I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.